So the next thing that pops up on the screen is the 6th of December. Later this year, the limited use of fixed term contracts. I think everyone was surprised when this proposal was floated, how widely these are used. I would prefer to refer to them as, and I think they're more commonly, maximum term contracts. That's where you say, well, 3 years, but there's a notice provision within the 3 years. The advantage of the maximum term is that if the term comes to an end, it doesn't get renewed. There's no dismissal or termination at the initiative of the employer. Of course, if you prematurely terminate, then it's open to unfair dismissal and all the usual things. But the maximum term linked to funding, government funding or a project, runs its term, there really was no termination, so sort of no employee redress or pushback. And it's a very flexible tool. So much so that the current government have thought it's being overused, and it's being used very much in terms of insecure work, is how they see it. So the new rule is that, no limited use, nothing for a maximum term which is more than the same role for 2 years or 2 consecutive contracts. So that's not related to time. You can't roll the contract over even for more than 3 months. If you get to the 3rd one, you get 1 renewal, bingo, commencing the 6th of December. What's more, the way the legislation works is that the contract's otherwise ongoing and valid. It just strikes out the termination date. So if you've got a true fixed term contract, which a true fixed term contract doesn't have a notice provision, that's why it's fixed term. That's why I recommend maximum term, because you can still have a notice provision within the 3 years or within the 2 years if it all goes pear-shaped. That becomes a contract at large without a notice period. And at that point, you're starting to get the common law employment lawyers really excited, because that means reasonable notice is right in the game. We all know about reasonable notice. If the parties don't agree, reasonable notice, what the notice period is, you can go off to the Supreme Court and get the court to tell you what reasonable notice is. Whereas the statute is rather miserly with a maximum payout of 5 weeks. At the Supreme Court, if you've got a long-standing senior key employee, you're talking 12 months. So again, fixed term contracts are now to be treated with quite a lot of caution. But you've got, on the upside, you've got quite a bit of time to prepare for this. A couple of other sort of formalities I should deal with. As part of that package, there will be a fixed term contract information statement in the True Fair Work information statement mould. So we'll now have the general one, we'll have one for casuals, we'll have one for fixed term employees. So we'll all be very transparent about that. There are exceptions. The government does acknowledge that sometimes there are genuinely necessary and appropriate times for fixed term contracts over 2 years or the 3rd consecutive contract. The one that I would draw to your attention, which would be the most significant, I think in a sense, would be employees over the high income threshold. Your high paid executives coming to do a job or whatever, they won't get, you can do the longer term contracts for high income employees. And the other exceptions are situation specific, which you can see, and I guess a bit of case law will pass through, but I think the principles are pretty clear. I did say you get a bit of time to prepare for that. It comes into force on the 6th of December. So you've got people at the moment that are on the fixed terms, that's fine, and they run, they're not affected, it's new contracts. But once they come up, you won't have the option to do anything. You'll have to go into a permanent arrangement or come to some other accommodation. And of course, you should always include a notice provision within a contract, because on the 6th of December, that termination date is just going to disappear. It'll just be an ongoing contract. You don't do anything.